Wake up with NBC6 tomorrow morning. A fundraiser planned in memory of one of the Parkland school tragedy victims. We share the details on how you can help. Plus, we are live from Stoneman Douglas campus for day 2 of classes on NBC6 today from 4:30 to 7 a.m.
I don't know if it'll ever be the same as it was. I think I need to kind of be ready for school and come to terms with what happened.
Right now, students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School are back in their classrooms exactly 2 weeks after the Valentine's Day shooting that claimed the lives of 17 people.
The South Florida community is standing by those victims, showing support to the thousands of families affected by this horrible tragedy. Neighbors and law enforcement are coming together to get through these very tough times.
And we talked to a psychologist who tells us how we can help our children cope with the trauma of this mass shooting.
Live, the news on NBC6 at 11 starts now.
It has been exactly 2 weeks since a 19-year-old opened fire in the halls of Stoneman Douglas High. And today, students return to the halls for the first time, but they're returning without 17 of their classmates and teachers. We appreciate you being with us this midday. I'm Shelley Muniz.
And I'm Trina Robinson in for Eric. The tight-knit Parkland community, which I belong to, still mourning the lives lost, but coming together to support those survivors. We have live team coverage in Parkland. We start with NBC6 reporter Ari Odzer, who's outside the school for us this morning. Ari.
Trina, today is all about reclaiming the eagle's nest. That's the message from the school's principal. Let me show you what it looks like right now here outside. Heavy police presence, including civilian patrol provided by the Guardian Angels. And when students came back this morning, they came back to a remarkable scene. Hundreds of police officers and alumni lined that sidewalk down there by the memorial wall with signs, with posters, just saying, "We love you, welcome back, feel safe, the community has your back." And so we spoke to lots of people this morning, parents, students, and here's the sentiment from one father-son combination as they were walking in this morning.
It's tough. I mean, these kids have been through a lot. This community's been through a lot, but we're proud of them. I mean, these kids have really stood up for what they believe in, and it's time to start healing, and it's time to get back to real life. And, you know, that's what today is all about. It's for them to come together and really just be with each other.
Any nervousness about going back to school, sending your son back to school?
Of course, and there's always nervousness, but, you know, life has to go on, and so he's ready, and we're ready for him to go back.
Feel like you're reclaiming the school?
In a way, I feel like we never lost it. We always kind of identified and had this strong sense of this school pride that I think has made us even more vocal. And I feel like coming back is kind of our way of saying, like, coming back is just our way of saying this is our home and this is really where we belong.
And you'll notice that none of the students walking in had backpacks. That's because the principal has told everybody today, tomorrow, Friday, this isn't about academics. Don't bring any backpacks to school. Every class is going to be more or less a group therapy session. Kids are going to be coming in to talk to each other, to talk to their teachers, to reconnect, to make sure that they share their feelings. There are therapy dogs inside, therapy ponies inside, counselors all over the campus for students who may need it, because obviously this is an emotional, traumatic time for a lot of these kids. Some kids didn't come to school today. Some kids may never come back to Stoneman Douglas, but for those who did, the idea is to reclaim what is theirs and get this back to being a school and not a memorial anymore. We're live in Parkland. Ari Odzer, NBC6 News.
All right, Ari, thank you for that. A big show of support for students going back to classes today. A group of alumni from Stoneman Douglas High met up at a Walmart in Coral Springs, and then they walked in silence to the school. NBC6 reporter Daryl Forges walked with them this morning, and you just saw even horses were involved, so just a huge amount of support there. With everything going on these past 2 weeks, many are finding themselves really overwhelmed by trying to cope with the tragedy.
So we brought in a psychologist to get her perspective on how to deal with all of this. NBC6 anchor Roxanne Vargas is with her right now. Roxy, good morning.
Ladies, good morning to you. Dr. Dara Bushman, who has joined us all morning long. Dara, you were with us the day after this tragedy struck our community. We saw there in Ari Odzer's report, in Daryl's as well, those beautiful signs that have come from all across the community, from all across the country as well. The theme there, love, unity, and reclaiming the eagle's nest. But Dara, what happens happens tomorrow when these students go back? What happens in a month or 2 months from now? How do we help our students and our staff move forward?
Well, I'm already seeing them helping themselves. I really commend the students and the community and the teachers for going and making such progress and moving forward in their rights and trying to advocate for their needs. So first and foremost, that strength is what's going to lead them forward in the weeks and the months ahead. It is going to be a very hard time, and it's very important to know that it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Absolutely, and in this marathon that we push through, eventually, parents and caretakers will want their kids to go back to being 14, to being 15. So how do we help our kids, and again, the staff and the teachers, find that balance?
Well, I think number one is communicating and finding out where they're at, because what works for one child or parent or teacher is not what's going to work for other people. So communicating, finding out what they need and where they're at, how they're feeling, and where they're at in the process as far as grieving or frustration or sadness. And I think also, as we're assessing that, is having them continue with what they like to do, being consistent with activities, and creating a new norm for them.
Yeah, consistency and conversation. We saw there in Julia Bagg's report concern from some of the students there about safety, not just on campus there at Stoneman Douglas High School, but I looked at my kids twice before sending them off to school. There's a lot of concern. We hear about the copycats, and now our students, in addition to doing fire drills, are also learning how to do drills in case of an active shooter. So how do we help our kids feel safe as they go to school?
Yes, we let them know that people make poor choices, and it doesn't necessarily mean that there's bad people, but people making choices that are not optimal or well. And we create plans of safety. We talk it through with our children. We let them know what the possibilities and how we want them to be feeling, and create environments that are going to be fun and free for them to move forward.
Clinical psychologist Dara Bushman, thank you for providing your expertise and tips that we can apply. And the conversation continues. As you heard Daryl say, love and unity is the theme today. So wrapping our arms around our community and our kids. This conversation continues at 11:30 on 6 The Mix. I also chat with New York Times bestselling author and journalist Maria Shriver. She has a new book called I've Been Thinking, and there are words inside of this book that are healing and that certainly apply to our community today. That's at 11:30 on 6 The Mix. Trina, over to you.
First Alert weather, powered by First Alert Doppler 6000.
All right, good Wednesday afternoon, South Florida. Last day of February, and boy, it was a warm one, record-breaking. We haven't officially seen this record come out just yet, but still, you'll notice our average temperature this month, 76.5. That crushes the last record set back in February of 1959 of 74.9. So we continue on that warm stretch today. We are talking plenty of sunshine out there. Temperatures already into those 80s, upper 70s for some. A little slower to warm up today since we didn't have.
We'll be back again at noon in just a little bit, friends.
We'll see you then.